But all those things you guys raised your hands for, Instagram, Facebook, when you sign up, you give away all your content to that corporation. All your contacts, all your friends, all your everything, right? Despite what they say in terms of their some level of privacy or whatever, they decide how you are portrayed. They decide what you look like to the rest of the world. So in addition to getting you guys ready for the professional world, the career world, with your ability to do scholarship and all that great stuff, we've been talking about elevator talks, all this and that. Also, you guys are going to claim your own digital identity. So when someone goes to look for you at the end of the school year, I want the first thing they find your webpage, where you tell people what you're about, you tell people what you're interested in, you tell people your achievements. It isn't some going into something to show you some ads and all that kind of other stuff, right? So the first step is we need to establish what our digital identity is. So we're going to create a space on the web that you guys control that's going to summarize who you are, a little bit overview about who you are, and then in the context of our course here, talk about your research, your scholarship. What kind of cool stuff are you doing? And then you guys can do whatever else in addition that you want to do. But at the minimum, it's going to say who you are, a little bit of background on you, and what you're doing now. Make sense? At the end of the school year, not now, but at the end of the school year, you guys can decide whether you think this is a useful tool or not. And if you want, you can continue this after graduation, after next year. You don't have to by any means. I'm not going to force you to, but I would suggest that you consider it, right? You're not going to know if this is going to be useful for a few weeks and a couple months when you're going through this, but know that the stuff you create at the end of this year, we can just delete it all and it'll be gone, and if you don't care, you don't care. But you can also use it as the nucleus for what might be a long-term professional presence on the web, your long-term digital identity, the vehicle to maintain that to anybody searching for you. Cool? All right, so we're going to start. So we're going to start with establishing this. So first, let's look up here. This is our tool that we've created here at Cal State Channel Islands to help you with this. We have all our stuff branded, CI Learn, CI Records, etc. So this has been branded CIKeys because you're getting the keys to your digital identity. Get it? Isn't that creative? You see how creative it is? Okay. So before we do this, the first thing I'm going to have you guys think about for a minute or two is what you want your domain name to be. So you guys might have looked at my website. If we look at this, okay, so here's one of our blogs on oil spills, right? So if you type this in, you can find out, you can hear about what we're working on or some of the things we're finding, right? So this lives on CIKeys. It looks different. It ends with piratelab.org. That's because I purchased that piratelab.org domain name. So you guys can do that, but that's the one thing that we don't give you for free. It is a custom URL, right? And so you do that with an external service provider. So for now, you need to figure out what you want your address to be. Because once you type it in here in this very first step, that's the one thing you can't change. Later on, we can redirect it to something like this, but you can have it be. It's going to read something like CIKeys. It's going to read something like CIKeys/SeanAnderson.com or something to that effect, right? So you guys should decide what you want your name to be. It could be your first name. It could be your last name. It could be your first name, last name, whatever. I suggest something professional, right? So again, this is our digital identity. So I probably wouldn't do, Fuzzy Pony 12 as my little name descriptor thing there in the URL. But it's up to you. So let's say I wanted to do Sean and I typed in Sean. If somebody has my exact spelling, it'll reject it. Say, oh, somebody already picked that. But assuming somebody hasn't picked that, you're going to be good to go and you're going to be locked on. Cool? So it'll take 2 minutes. You guys think about that, and then we're going to start. So again, you guys are welcome to pick a custom domain URL, something.com, something.zone, something.org, right? That's not what we're doing today. You're just picking the name within CIKeys. It's going to say, okay, so there it is. So it says http // then it's going to say something, and then it's going to be .CIKeys.com. So that's the part that's going to be Sean.CIKeys.com. SeanAnderson.CIKeys.com. Anderson, right? So that's once you type this in though, that's it. You can't change this. So that's why I wanted you guys to think about it. So it can be whatever, as long as it's professional. And again, if somebody had Sean, it'll reject it and say you got to type in a different one. So how this thing works is we have space on a server, okay, on a computer hard drive somewhere. That's all this is. Through CIKeys, you could do all kinds of crazy stuff. You could make your own email server, have your own email. You could have your own database. You can have all kinds of crazy cool stuff. We're going to start, we're not going to go Usain Bolt, right? We're going to learn to crawl first, okay? So we're going to use a tool called WordPress. All that WordPress is a bunch of code that makes it easier for us to put information up on the web. WordPress was generated to do blogs, but people now use it for e-commerce and other things. WordPress powers the vast majority of the blogs around the world right now. I don't know what the most recent stat, the older stat was something like 60 to 70% of the world's blogs run on WordPress. So it's very popular. So once you've established your identity, so don't do this, but watch me. Okay. These are things to make tools. We can add, so as I showed you guys, I have my website is piratelab.org. I have oil.piratelab.org. NOLA for our class that goes to New Orleans, NOLA.piratelab.org, etc. We can generate those with these tools and other things, but for now, we're just going to focus on the one that you guys created, right? Your default site. So the philosophy here is we're going to create a space on the server to put our information, and then we're going to put our information there. You've already started that process, okay? We've already created this first landing place called whatever your name is, .CIKeys.com. All it is blank. There's no data in that chunk of the memory banks. So we're going to add in a framework, which is going to be WordPress, and then we'll be able to do stuff. So if you click My App, don't do this, but everybody look at me. If you click My Apps, you're going to see the range of things. So these are all my different ones that I have. So I have a bunch of things. So you're going to only have one when we get to that point. But we're going to start with, since it's already created, we're going to click WordPress. So don't do this, just watch me. I'm going to hit WordPress. And this thing is called Installatron. This is going to install this shell of this program so that we can then, and so we're going to install this particular one called WordPress, and then we can start messing with it and adding stuff and doing jazz. So I'm going to go to that option, and then I'm going to come over here and say install this application. Okay, then you guys are probably only going to have one domain. So it's going to be whatever.CIKeys.com. In my case, I have multiple. You could create multiple, and you just have to make sure you pick the right one. So I think the one I made for last night is this one. Yeah. Okay. So all it's saying is, hey, here's this space in the memory bank. What's the space called? The space is at this address. Okay. And then here's the important part. I'm going to come in. I'm going to delete this part that says blog. Okay. Delete that part. This is going to be how you can access your blog outside of CIKeys. So if you want to use your mobile app, if you want to use a mobile app on your phone, if you want to log on from any browser in the planet, you would need some kind of authentication. And so for that, you need to have your name and a password. Okay, so you guys, I mean, you could leave it the way it is. This particular password is comma A, capital Q, Z, right? I mean, you could remember that, I guess, if you want. Or you could type in whatever your password is. Now, note, this is distinct from all of your CSUCI stuff. You could use the same password, but this one won't. This one isn't influenced by, you know, school saying, "Oh my God, your password's about to expire," or whatever. So this one could be the same, could be different, but it's separate. And then you want to put in whatever email. It'll probably default to your school email, which is fine. But if there's another email you guys wish to use for notifications, etc., authentication stuff, you could type that other thing in. And then you could type a title, although you can change these two things later. Most important thing is go up here, make sure we install it in the right spot. Delete the word that says blog here. And then give yourself a real administrator username and password and the correct email. Cool? So here we go. So we're going to do, let's say I did that. I picked the right spot, right? Yeah, tester. Okay. Then I'm going to say this. I'm going to say install. You change the password, but you can't change your name.
Good looking blog. Consortium.
Some things are going slow or it's taking a while to upload, and that's okay, but I want you guys to look up here while. So let's have a look at this. If I click this first link, that's going to take me to what everybody else sees. If I was going to put this on my business card, this is the address I would put on my business card. This is for the public to see. Okay? Down here, this is support. If you have some weird questions, if things start getting real technical. In our case, we have folks on campus that can help us. But you know, later on, if you had some problems, if you want to learn more about WordPress, you can go to this link. This is the main link you'll be using 99.99% of the time. It's our first title /wp-admin/. Okay, so that's how you're going to want to enter stuff. So when you want to go manipulate your blog, you're going to go to CIKeys.com. You hit the dashboard tab, then you're going to come down and you're going to pick whatever the -WP admin option is on your pop-up area here. This is what your site looks like underneath the hood. Okay, so again, don't touch anything yet. Looks confusing. It's very easy. Everybody look at me. Look at me. Don't look at your computer. Don't get distracted. Eyes on me. So it's very simple. Don't get confused by all these weird lines and codes and this and that. Couple things. One, the neat thing about WordPress is we're going to use a unified structure for this. Okay? So we're going to be doing some stuff. We're going to type some stuff in, make some stuff. And then I've given you a shell that you're using that everybody's going to start with. So you're not allowed to pick your own theme right now. It's just you have to use what I gave you. But after a few months, after you're comfortable with this, if you want to make your site start looking more cool to you or more whatever graphic or whatever, you're more than welcome to. The power of one of the neat things about WordPress is all the architecture is there. We can change the clothes, right? So it's like your body is your body, and you can put on all these different clothes. So you can put on a fancy dress, you can put on a plain dress. You can put on shorts. You can put on whatever you want, and your key content, your data, doesn't change. Just the way it's being displayed. So it's really neat. So you can. It's a really fun way to experiment without having to start over every single time from scratch. So that has to do with themes. So I've picked the theme for you. Later on, you can mess with that. We have some plugins. Plugins give us the ability to do extra things, maybe a contact sheet or display a PDF, something like that. So you might see now some things say they need to be updated. And that's because the tools that we use are constantly being improved and revised. So you guys are welcome to update those should they ever need them. But this is what I want to focus on. We have two main things here. We have posts and we have pages. At first, they might seem like the same thing. They're a bunch of hypertext, and we're going to be typing some words in and putting some pictures in and this and that. Here's the difference. Post is a blog post. Post is something that we're going to be throwing up, periodically. In your guys' case, once a week, right? Blah, 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 this is what's going on. Let me update you here. How about this? How about that, right? Kind of new, the new stuff. Page, while both of these things could be changed, the idea with page is going to be a more static thing. Page is going to be there. Page is going to be something that we're going to adjust and then pretty much leave. And we're not going to be adding new stuff every week, typically. You guys with me? So if I click, so everybody's still looking at me. Don't start clicking yet. Everybody look up here. So here's our pages. So let me just show you what the structure that I gave you is going to look like. So if I click pages, you guys have an about page. You guys have a page called Capstone Research. Here's our blog. And then a thing called resume. So the things that aren't going to change very much are going to be the part that tells where you introduce yourself to the world, which is basically a paragraph and a picture of you. Capstone Research is going to be the summary of your research, right? So a paragraph or two, an image or two, right? But at least now, at least at this stage of our research career, we don't know everything yet, so it's just going to be like basically the introduction. This is the topic that I'm working on. These are the things I'm exploring. Resume, we've not worked on resume yet, but when we start to work on resume, that's where you guys can put in your stuff. Hey, I'm a this student, I've worked at this location, I'm interested in this, that kind of stuff, right? And then blog is going to be where your weekly updates park. You guys with me? So let's take a look at, actually, firstly, let's do this. Let's just see what our site looks like if we just click my site. This is all placeholder stuff. So it says ESRM, and here we go. We can go find about you. We can find about your research. Or we can find your resume, and then your blog is showing up on this landing page. So here's the first blog. Here's the second blog. The next one will be third, and they'll just start wrapping on. And if we have a bunch of them, you can scroll to see whichever one you want to get. Okay? And then this part right here, this header, is just grabbing whatever the featured images from your blog post and just throwing it in there. It's nothing fancy. Let's have a look at the about you. Look, there's a picture of me in a wetland in Turkey where we can't go now because we've suspended visas. Thank you, Trump administration. And then here's some stuff, blah, 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 blah. And then there's some more pictures. Here's some videos that are embedded. Very, very easy to put videos on this. Very, very easy to put up pictures on this. So I have some of that. Here's my resume, or this is a resume, this isn't me. Right, so here's a resume so people can find out about us. Here's our Capstone Research. So if I click on this, here's an overview of a research project that we're doing. Make sense? All the stuff I have on here is just placeholder. This should not be there next week, right? This is just to get you guys so you can see what it looks like. Cool? All right, before I turn you loose, so let's go back to what it looks like. Here we go. Here's our pages. Let me just show you. So the architecture for pages and for posts, very similar. Let's just take a quick look at it. So if I click on, if I click on pages, here are my pages, right? Let's say I want to mess with my about. I'm just going to click edit. Oh, sorry. Yeah, if I wanted to add a new page, I would say add new page, and I would put the title of it in, etc. Here's the title of my page. Now check it out. We have these various tools that are up here. You guys with me? All these things. These should look fairly obvious to you. There's two tabs, Visual tab, Test tab. Just going to keep it at Visual. Visual is essentially going to say it's going to display what you're typing. These are all tools so that you guys don't have to do computer coding. These are all tools to make it easier for you guys to create the information you want to. So check it out. I can come up here I can type. I can type whatever I like, right? And then I can either come up here and I can do, in this case I've already published it. If I hadn't published it, there would be an option to just save it as a draft. So if I didn't want anybody to see it yet, so because now it's live on the web. But if I hit update, it's going to take whatever those changes I made, and that's now going to be, it's going to be locked in, right? If I want to insert a picture, I'm just going to go to wherever I want to put my multimedia in, put the cursor there, and come up here and click this button that says Add Media. I'm going to click that, and here's just the pictures I have in here, but let's say I wanted to add a new picture. I'm going to say Upload File, go to my, wherever my picture is. Where's a picture we could do? Beaches on the Edge, Blade Runner. I'm just going to click that. I can type in here so that this is my photo from the movie or whatever. Say insert in a post, and now it's going to both give me my picture and if I want a caption. That's simple. Boom, super high tech. Oh my gosh, it's too hard, I can't figure it out, right? If I want to insert a hyperlink, if I'm referring to a reference, let's say maybe in my description of my research, I want people to know. All I'm going to do is come to wherever I want it to be inserted. I don't know, California. I'm going to come click this button that says Insert a Link, paste, and then I like to do this where it opens in a new tab, but you guys don't have to do that. So there you go. Now when I update it, when people come to this, now they can have, now hyperlinks are there. The last one I'll show you is if you wanted to embed something else like this Exxon ad. I would just come up here, copy that link, go right here to wherever I wanted to put my multimedia, position wherever I think I want it to be in the midst of my paragraphs, whatever, and hit paste, and then wait a second, and then the video automatically embeds. Very simple. And then when I get this all done, I'm just going to say update, and I'm going to be rock and rolling. So that's it. There's all kinds of more detail and complications, but that's the basics. That's all you guys need to know. Make sense?